Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome everyone to Offensive Security. We're going to call tonight 102, How to Practice Doing Hacks. As a reminder, if you have any questions during any part of this presentation, you can go to questions.offsec.club and submit them there. Our presenter tonight will be Logan after some announcements, and he'll also have that pulled up as well. So if someone could advance me out, please. Perfect, thank you. So as every week, we're going to be doing attendance, so we can get numbers to send back to Student Senate and Computer Club as a whole. So please go to attendance.offsec.club and fill this out. Today's date, your email, and if you're watching through Discord or YouTube, just so we can get that data, that would be great. Thank you. So while you're filling that out, we'll go on ahead to our CPTC reminder. If you're trying to do reports, they are due tonight at 11:59 p.m. You can go to cptc.offsec.club to get all the information on submission. If you're planning on doing it all within the next 5 hours, 6 hours, good luck. We'll announce the team soon after, maybe next week, but I cannot guarantee that. So moving on, we had a couple current events this week. This top one was submitted. It was in our OffSec Slack a couple weeks ago. It was resubmitted again through the forum, which you can see the URL at the bottom. So Windows Defender has some flags that allow it to download malware and be used as a dropper, so that's kind of ironic. And then one of the big ones was Microsoft patched the zero logon. Well, has a temporary fix for the zero logon. The actual fix will come out in February, but it might break authentication all across there. I'll let you guys go read that article if you want. It was also posted in the OffSec channel on Kernel Poppers, so whichever way you want to. As a reminder, a link to those slides will be in the upper right corner for the duration of the stream tonight. If you find any current events throughout this week, please feel free to submit them at ce.offsec.club. I will try to include any that are submitted, not duplicates, valid for next week. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Logan for the remainder of the meeting, and he will go into how to practice hacks. Logan, the floor is yours.
Welcome everyone. I'm Logan. I'm LMS on Slack and most other stuff that you probably see LMS on. And I'm here to teach you how to practice doing hacks. Oh, here's the questions. Questions right there. If you have anything, have it up. Questions@offsec.club. Okay, but I know what you're saying. But Logan, I don't know anything. I don't know what I don't know. Where do I start? That's a good question. That's what I'm here to tell you. So there's lots of different training tools that you can use or find. Like online, there's going to be documentation for almost anything you want. There's going to be write-ups for previous exploits, like the WinLogon one. There's a write-up by the company who found it, how they did it, or I didn't actually read it, but it's out there. Books are a great resource. You can find lots of stuff to teach you and learn about programming languages, how computers work, and other stuff. YouTube. Who hasn't heard of YouTube? Exactly. It's a good spot to watch videos and learn great stuff instead of just watching your favorite streamer play a game or something. You can also learn stuff. And then on the right side, we kind of have more hands-on stuff where this is kind of just learning on your own. We have CTFs, and wargaming sites, pseudo penetration testing sites, and the like. Yeah. So what is a CTF? As most of you may know, CTF stands for capture the flag, but it's not what we have over here on the right. It's not chasing after someone who's holding a flag. I mean, it kind of could be in the sense, but not in what we're talking about. And here, it's going to be a competition where it's going to test your cyber knowledge, and it's a safe place to test out your hacking skills, where it's also gamified to spur the competition, where people try their hardest to get further in the leaderboard and kind of win the competition. Oh, there we go. So there's lots of different categories for CTFs. This is just like an example of a few of them. There's forensics, steganography, which if you don't know what steganography is, it's kind of like hiding data in pictures or videos or sound. It's kind of like hiding stuff within other stuff. Cryptography, hardware, web. OSINT stands for open source intelligence. It's like if you Google someone's name, their Instagram might show up, Facebook, Twitter. Maybe they put some kind of identifiable information on there that they probably shouldn't have been. Mobile, reversing, pwn, which is the best category of all, and then etc. Because there's lots of categories and it kind of changes from competition to competition. So where can I find examples of CTFs? Whoa. I just had some weird feedback right there. Google. You can always find something on Google. Just search cyber CTF. You'll probably find something. There's write-ups everywhere for past challenges because there's competitions like once a week. CTFtime.org/write-ups is a great place to go read write-ups. If you want to watch videos of people doing CTFs, there's Live Overflow. He does like a wide range of kind of different categories. Pony Racing's kind of a high-end kind of pwn CTF channel. They haven't done any videos recently, but they used to do them live streamed. Hands-on, HackTheBox has CTF challenges. Pwnable, there's kind of a wide range of sites called just Pwnable, XYZ, KR, TW, that kind of just hosted a bunch of different pwn challenges. I'm not sure why this one's the only one that's blue, but 0x0539.net has a couple challenges on it. And ctftime.org, you can just go there, find competition that might be starting now or soon. As I said, they kind of happen weekly or regularly on a good basis. So besides learning at CTFs, why do them? It's for the prizes, of course. There's not only the knowledge you'll get from it, but you could also get t-shirts, challenge coins, medals, money, awards. You could get an IDA Pro license. Who knows? Maybe a black badge to a conference, which means you can go there every year from now on for free. It's not really like these prizes, but maybe at some point we'll do a CTF and we'll give out these kinds of prizes, but we don't know. So now we're going on to the kind of penetration testing or the pseudo penetration testing. It's not what you think. I know penetration testing kind of sounds dirty, but this is a clean space, clean thoughts only. It's penetration testing is kind of hacking legitimately, where you could be hired to do it or you just want to do it for fun. In this case, where you get an IP address or a target and you just have to find a way in. A lot of them are kind of black box where you don't really have a sense of you don't really know what's on the system beforehand. You just have to actually figure out what's on there in the live moment and then find a way in and hack it. A lot of these are CVEs or common vulnerabilities, something. I don't even know if that's right. They're misconfigurations. So maybe someone left easy password in the pub or in the open, 0 to 1 days. So the net logon one, there'd probably be a box like that on Vulnhub or HackTheBox probably in the future. Kind of just, there's a big list. So where can you find examples? So as I mentioned, Vulnhub, they have a lot of custom-made systems to self-download. So on Vulnhub, they just kind of tell you, here's a box, here's kind of the objectives, and then they just give you the ISO for it or OVA or whatever they have. HackTheBox is kind of they're all kind of similar, but HackTheBox has their own infrastructure for it. So you connect to the VPN and you can just start hacking. But this is where it's going in blind. You probably won't have many hints going into it. And you're kind of on your own unless you work on a team or ask for assistance if you get stuck. And then with HackTheBox, you also have to hack your way into the website. So you can't just be like, you know what, I'm ready to be an elite hacker. I need to get in there. You gotta show your worth and actually be able to get in. Try Hack Me, it's kind of similar to HackTheBox. It has Koth, which is King of the Hill. So it's kind of where several people are attacking the same system at the same time, and you try to get in there, protect the way you kind of got in, and make sure other people don't get in while you're trying to secure it while keeping your own points going up. I think Try Hack Me is kind of more oriented, like kind of intro orientated. So it'll kind of tell you step by step, this is what you should probably do next to kind of help you along the way. Try Hack Me and HackTheBox and Vulnhub, they're all free. There are like subscription bases for them, but for the most part, if you're a struggling college student like most of us are, you don't really want to spend $100, $200 a year on these subscriptions where you just go in there for free. Sorry, I'm reading the questions. They're unimportant. iLab probably has some vulnerable system designs in there already. I haven't actually gone in the iLab in a while, so I can't guarantee that. Or you could probably just go in the iLab and make your own system that you want to make vulnerable and then hack it yourself. So we also have the wargaming. Well, the only wargaming site I thought of was Over the Wire. Over the Wire kind of is like a learning CTF where the questions kind of build on each other. Or kind of you need to do one step to actually really understand what's going on in the next step. They have like they have like a couple dozen games or something. There's a question. I attempted to hack the box. And when I turned to the forums for assistance, I was called a big noob and try harder. How can I overcome this? And to the person who tried the XSS, that doesn't work. Please stop. um, you can't really. That's the problem with a lot of these hacker sites is that they're always going to think they're better than you. So asking people may be a tough time. You kind of just need to either find someone that will actually help you or like they say try harder and kind of understand what's happening on your own. It's kind of lots of people think that if someone helps you you're not going to learn as much, whereas if you spend 20 hours on just trying to get user access on a system, that's how the system was designed and you should do that only. I'm kind of mixed, whereas if it's a maybe you just mistype something so you gave up on that avenue and go down a rabbit hole, it kind of sucks to just spend all that time getting lost in the sauce. So I kind of spat a bunch of stuff at you. So now it's kind of time to, I'll give you a little walkthrough of what different sites look like. Let me get, so, oh, not that one yet. How do there we go. So we'll go ahead and check out what Over the Wire looks like. This is what Over the Wires. So you can just go in here, be like, hey, I want to play the Bandit game, which I highly recommend. There's a bunch of levels. I think these ones are kind of relatively new to what I did. Bandit overall just teach you kind of command line instructions for Linux. I did this. I learned a bunch from it. So this is how you start. You kind of just SSH into bandit.lat.overthewire.org with on port 2220. There might be some notes in here on how to actually start, but I'm pretty sure that's all you need to do. Yeah, it's just a bunch of different games. On HackTheBox, once you find a way to hack your way in, you can log in. Oh, okay. You might get this beta version UI instead. If it loads, kind of looks like this. Oh, it logged me out too. That's great. Come on. Gotta love it. All right, so here they might give you a guide to say intro to HackTheBox. The kind of, I think recently they put out a machine or some simple machines to like teach you kind of how to interact with everything. So you can go to the machine tab. No, not that one. You can go to the machines tab, and HackTheBox has, if you're just a regular member, HackTheBox has 20 machines that you can choose from. Red or gray, you should probably avoid. You should probably start on the orange or green. They're easy, medium, hard, and insane. Whereas if you have the VIP, you can kind of go to the retired machines that they have. They have a list of, I don't know, 100 some. And on all these machines, you can start them up yourself. I don't actually know how to use this new UI. You can start the machine yourself. Otherwise, there's also write-ups for it somewhere. I don't know where they moved it to. I'm going to just go back to this one. Go machines, all 178 of them. So 158 in the retired section. And if you want, if you have the VIP, you can go in here and be like, hey, I kind of want to watch IPSEC's YouTube channel on this and see how he did the box, which IPSEC is a huge like member of HackTheBox. He does boxes weekly and he kind of, sometimes he streams it, but it's not really often anymore. With HackTheBox, we'll go to Vulnhub. It's been a while since I've done Vulnhub. You kind of just go in here and be like, hey, I kind of want, I thought there was just a random box. spot, but all these are systems. You can just go page 10. I want this one. And then it says, here's your download. You're good to go. It's OVA, which if you have VirtualBox or VirtualBox or VMware, you could probably run it on there. I think this one says, there we go. Yeah, it says runs on VMware and VirtualBox, so you're good to go. Go to Try Hack Me. Try Hack Me has the King of the Hill, like I said, and I think Angel's been trying to do this weekly. So if you want to get on that, I think we're doing it Fridays at 5:30. Can you confirm that time frame, Angel?
Yes, sir.
All right, Friday at 5:30 in Slack or in the Discord. He'll toss links to join their lobby where you can get in there. Up to 10 people can hack the same machine. Otherwise, you can also just come over here, go to the learning paths. Kind of, if you're a complete beginner, it'll teach you some stuff. If you're offensive penetration testing, you can go in there. Activities is kind of like different rooms you can start, kind of similar to HackTheBox, but just a different wide range, I guess. They're not really, I haven't done many of these, so I'm not really sure how they compare overall, but there's those. I'll go to ctftime.org also. So here's kind of what ctftime.org looks like. If you want to see all the CTFs upcoming, you'd be like, oh, there's one this weekend. There's three this weekend alone. Oh, Tokyo Western. So we should do that one actually. Or you can go to the next weekend, or if you want to go to the write-ups, which are disappeared. So just go over here and just do write-ups. You can see there's a bunch of Seesaw, which was this last weekend, and we had a couple challenges done, but I'll probably go through and read some of these also because I worked on some of them, but didn't really want to spend too much time working on it because it's a weekend. Maybe you don't want to spend all your time on your computer, or maybe you do. Maybe that's what you enjoy. There's a lot of different. So like here's one from Google CTF. If you want to learn about Android hacking, here's one that you can do, or you can read about, so you can actually get a walkthrough or sense of what maybe Android hacking involves. That's kind of all I had for like what the sites look like, and I'll kind of get an example of a pwn challenge, of course, of how hacking is done in the CTF sense. So here we have just like a simple challenge called format.c. Hey, Tristan. I sure can. I don't know who just sent in a blank space question, but yes. Let's see. Terminal size, that's not what I want, I don't think. Custom font, oh, there it is. So size, let's go up to 30, so that's a good
You
number.
can also use the normal drop down, but that works too.
Normal drop down.
Yeah, like when you click the hamburger menu, there's a plus and a minus. Never mind, that's a new tab. I'm stupid. Wait, is
Whatever. Now that was exactly what it was.
it?
But
Try it. I want to be
yeah,
proved.
I mean that just zooms in and that doesn't change the font size, so
Yeah.
maybe it does. I don't know. It just says 100%. Either way, here's this challenge. So, oh wait, here we'll swap users, so we're temp 2. So right here we have the challenge, we have the flag. So if we try to cat the flag, that's weird. We don't have permission. So if we check, it's actually owned by temp, and it's only readable by temp, so we can't even touch it or we can't even look at it. But we do see this a.out, which for those of you who don't know yet means it's a compiled file, and there's a good chance that it's actually this format.c file. And if we look, it has an S right here in this third bit. So we have RWS. Usually this will be an X like over here. But since it's an S, that means that when this file is ran, it's going to run as the temp user in our case. So if we check to see what was actually ran, because it's not safe to just run a binary randomly on your system, we kind of get this. So we see there's a function called flag where it's going to open our flag file, read 100 characters from it, and then just print it to the screen. So we can kind of think that, hey, we want to make sure we get here. But how do we get here? So if you go down to the main function, we can see we have an admin code We have a character array. This doesn't really matter, just kind of sets it to make sure it's running as temp. We have a read, so it reads from 0, which is going to be what the data we send into it, and it's going to read into the character buffer up here. It's going to read 50 characters, and it's going to print out this stuff. Going to print out our name. It's going to flush it, which just makes sure the buffer is empty. And then it says if admin code is equal to 1337, we get our flag. But you're probably thinking, hey, Logan, I've programmed before. We set admin code to 0. How are we ever going to get that to 1337? Well, that's what I'm here to teach you. So what you may know about printfs is like %d. If you don't know what printf does, hopefully everyone does, but maybe you're just a little bit newer, so you don't know yet. Printf is just going to say, we're going to print a format string for you. So there's lots of different format specifiers, is what we'll call these. So we have %d, which is going to print out a number. %p was going to print out kind of like a memory address. It's not really the exact way it's referenced, but that's how I'm just going to refer to it right now. Ooh, whatever. If we do man printf, probably get a list of them. Maybe we can't. That sucks. But there's going to be %f, %s, %u, %x, there's a bunch of different format specifiers. But how does that really help us? Is that man3 printf? Oh, that looks better. Why do I VI background FG? I find that was a question. Well, when I run Vim, I just prefer to background it instead of actually killing it. That's just kind of a personal preference. So then I just press FG and bring it right back instead of pressing bang V or typing the whole command again. So anyways, here's a whole list of all of our values. So we have D, I, O, U, X. And then HH is kind of just saying, is going to smaller format. I'm pretty sure makes it a sign char or a short in this case. LLQ, which is another one for LL, which is actually going to be like a keyword. You don't really need to worry about that right now. But yeah, there's a bunch of them. But what we care about is trying to figure out if my name is Logan, how do we get that to be, how do we change admin code to be what it is, or what we want it to be, I guess. So if we use a little tool called checksec, no, not checksec, but if we do file, we can see that our current binary is 32-bit, which means there's 32-bit and there's 64-bit. And that kind of changes how data is kind of sent to different functions. In this case, 32-bit, it's all going to be pushed onto the stack, versus 64-bit will be put into registers and then the stack. I don't want to get you guys too confused, so just think of the stack as, if you don't know what it is, as kind of stacking pizza boxes on top of each other, and where you can kind of grab the data wherever you want, but it's easier to just grab the stuff right off the top than it is to grab the boxes beneath it. And kind of how this works is we'll push the first variable into a function. So if we look back at format, so when we're calling printf, this may be the first value on the stack going into it, but yeah. So since we actually control this one right here, we can kind of send it whatever we want. So if we were to send in, we do an a.out, a %d, it actually puts out 0. That's weird. If we do a.out again, do 2% d's, we get negative something, which is a really weird value. So what if we did %s's? We can see that whatever's there is nothing, and then there's unprintable characters. You can't really see what's there, but there's stuff printed, it's just garbage. So what we kind of want to figure out is, hey, what's currently on the stack? So if we did a bunch of %p's, we can see, we can just print out all the values that are on the stack. And if we look right here, we kind of see this repeating pattern that's starting for the middle of right here for some reason. And we can, if we were to convert this from hex to ASCII, you can actually find out this is going to be space, %, So actually space percent P, because it's little endian, so it's going to be backwards. You don't really need to understand that either. But what's important is that, hey, our buffer, we can actually see it. But if we look back over here too, we have the 0xFF2EDEC, which is the same as this value. So let's look back into format again, one quick time. And we can kind of see that, hey, it's printing out the admin code, and then it's actually printing out where on the stack admin code is going to be found. And since that value is still on the stack, we can control it, or we can write to it actually with printf. You may be thinking, but Logan, printf prints to the screen. How do we ever write to it? There's a fancy little format specifier called %n. And what %n does, it saves the amount of characters. It does just print. Thank you for that question. Someone just said, Logan, printf just prints, I thought. It does, but in this case, we could also save values. As I'm saying, %n will save the amount of characters that were already printed to screen to a memory address that you want. So if we were to say, well, we'll say test. So we want printf to print test and did %n. It'll segment fault because if we look up here, we have nil. And the first %n is going to try and print to this nil. So if we try that again and did something like % or test %c %n or %s instead. So as we know, the first % sign will actually take the first item off the stack, and then we'll go to the next one, which is what we want. So if we did something like that, we get garbage output, and it's not correct, as we already know, because you just need to trust me. I guess I can show you. I'm at temp 2, aren't I? Here, let's just do a little GDB magic. GDB stands for GNU Debugger, so it's just a easy way to kind of see what's happening in memory. So if we start the binary, walk through it a little bit, we're going to read, we'll do a test %s %n. So someone just asked Jeff or PETA. I'm using a variant of GDB called Jeff, G-E-F, not J-E. It says in the peanut butter. Jeff, PETA, Pwnedebug, they're all just like different variations where they have different additional kind of make stuff look pretty. So in regular GDB, you won't see any of this stuff regularly. You can find Jeff online just by Googling Jeff GDB, and it'll just like say, here, run this command, and boom, you'll have it installed. So anyways, back to this. So if we go to this printf, all right, as we can see that it's going to print out right there. So if we check to see what's at that memory location, x/wx means I want to print the word bytes or the, I guess, D word bytes at this location. And this is what our current value of admin code is equal to. So if we keep stepping through after this printf where our stuff prints, we can actually see that there's 10 there now, which is A for hex, or 10 is A is 10 for hex. So we're like, huh, that's weird. What if we set a breakpoint here and run it again? And did something like Logan is the best. Oh, that whatever. That didn't work. I need to try that again. Okay. Best pwner. %s %n. And we're back here again. So if we were to print the value, I really wish that would have been the same, but it wasn't. Let's just try and find out, because I'm guessing the stack changed. It sure did. We can actually see we now have 1D, which is going to be 31, 30, 30, I think. So for some reason, when it printed out this, it's like, oh, I printed out 30 characters. So that's what that tried to do. So now it saved 30 in there. So what we could do is something like Python. I want you to print out the A character 1337 times. And then I want you to print out %s %n. But we can't really do %s because, as we saw here, this is actually only 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23 characters. And then whatever for some reason it prints out null, but I don't know if that's counting the character's null in this instance, or if it printed some other garbage stuff out and then put null. So we can't really be safe with doing a %s. So what if instead we did something like, what if I just want to access only the %n value? And to do that, you can actually say %2 $n. So what this does is say, I want to grab the second element on the stack. So ignore the first one completely for now. And then we can pipe this to a.out. A syntax error. Oh, yep, I gotta put these in some quotes. Syntax error. Okay, let's just make sure this prints. Gotta also say, hey, Python, print syntax. There we go. So some Python magic first try. We'll get a bunch of A's printed out, and then we can get the %2 $n. So if we try piping that, I know what you're thinking, Logan, I can't wait for the flag, but you're going to be disappointed because we can't get that much characters in. So if we look back at the format again, oh, I thought I saw it open. Remember that it only reads in 50 characters at a time. So we need to kind of rethink our approach to this. So if $n works, is there another way we could actually do this instead? So what if we printed out, let's get rid of that, did like something like %c, and hey, we want to print out the character that's on the stack. You're like, okay, we can do that. But as you know right now, that might just print out one character. But what we want is to print out 1,337 characters. And you can do this way. You can say, hey, print this character that's on the stack this many times. So now if we ran this, we would actually get our flag, which is formats everywhere. Very nifty flag. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's interesting and all, and we were able to access memory that I'm running as root right now. Let's change that. So if we did %337 C %2 $n, we get the flag, and we couldn't read it earlier, remember, because we don't have permission. So we actually were able to bypass a restriction on the system and get kind of our own execution to occur. But while that may be interesting and all, that doesn't really change the fact that, hey, this only works in, you may be thinking, hey, this only works in one case. Why does it even matter at all? So I even created this shell.py. So what this does is kind of takes this format string that we were using and enhances it a little bit more. And we're going to use %hns and grab the 18th element on the stack or the 23rd element on the stack. I am not your dad, whoever asked that question. Sorry. But well, this is kind of a really higher advanced kind of method. So if we really want it, you could say, hey, run this. And now we check the ID. And we're now running as temp, even though we were just running as, I actually died. Got to send in sh. Now we do ID, and we're actually running as temp, whereas previously we were just running as temp2. So if I exit out of the shell and do ID, we're running as temp2 right now. So what this this kind of shows is that, yes, you may be able to modify the execution flow, but you're actually able to take that further and get a full shell working out of it. It may take more time to understanding, but you can actually go that distance and find a way to get there. So that's kind of all I had for example wise. If you kind of liked the Pwn stuff, there's a channel called Temple of Pwn. I personally enjoy Pwn the most. I think it's the only category in CTFs that really matter. In Temple of Pwn, I think the plan is to start doing some intro to Pwn and then kind of just work our way up to more advanced techniques. So we might start with format strings like we did here, kind of explain more of what's happening in memory. Yes, whoever said that question, I agree with you. Death to forensics. We'll talk about buffer overflows, what you could do with that. We'll go to ROP, SROP, if you don't know what those mean. JOP. We'll talk about cats. We can look at code. We'll find vulnerabilities. We'll talk about heap exploits, which are like, if you thought this was let's say we're walking upstairs, we'll go from stair 0 to stair 1 for format strings. Heap is like from stair 1 to stair 25. And then kernel exploits, they're kind of on the same level as heap. They're just harder to understand because they're harder to debug overall. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself now. If you wanted me to kind of explain in depth of what shell.py is actually doing and how it interacts with the program, I certainly can, but I thought I'd just give you kind of a short, sweet summary of where to learn, what you might want to learn, and then where you can learn more in the future.
So Logan, very quickly, can you pull up offsec.club? So towards the bottom, we do have another Discord that we use for when we're doing CTFs. So Logan mentioned the Temple Pwn channel. Instead of kernel poppers, there's also a regular CTF channel where normally they do the discussions through the CTF Discord, through some voice chats, and we'll post stuff in CTF as needed in kernel poppers. We also have if you do get into HackTheBox, we do have a HackTheBox team that you can join, like the universities thing. But yeah, if anyone has any questions for Logan or anything he wants, or anything you want him to go over, please feel free to speak up now.
I did have one
Gosh,
thing
darn
to
it.
say about King the Hill stuff. It's not just limited to 10 people. If we get more than that, then I am more than happy to spawn more rooms. So again, it's not like 10 people's the max. It's per room, but I can spin up as many rooms as we need. So
Good point.
Right, and we've been doing the past couple times too. So, not the end of the world, just a couple more clicks.
I got a question saying, why death to forensics? When you've worked with volatility enough to where you seem to understand it more than the developers, and it just hurts, you just start to hate forensics. I don't know. Forensics is like, there's good challenges, but there's just some that, why'd you even make that challenge? I guess you can say that for all challenges, but I do have a couple people say, explain it, or how do it do the magic, or how do it work? So I think I'll go on to that if no one else wants to ask any other questions. Why did you even make that challenge? To show you the magic of Pwn. And I've seen challenges exactly like that before, where they'll just be like, hey, do that easy. I want a reverse shell. Okay, what's your IP? All right, this is starting to maybe getting a little off track, but whatever. So no one else in the chat wants to talk. I'll go to actually explaining what shell.py is doing. So this is a little kind of intense. I don't want to throw you, like, if you don't know what's going on, just nod your head, let it soak in. You probably won't understand it, but you may see something you might recognize in the future. So what I'm doing here, this is just Python syntax. Instead of doing include standard io.h, we're going to say import this Pwn library, and we want to include all the functions from it. So P is equal to process. So process is a Pwn library function where process is a function in Pwn that will start the binary. So we can say, hey, run this binary, and we can interact with it with, which we do later, with p.interactive. So what I have here is I have 6ish, a comment that I wrote saying 6ish in to the buffer. So that's saying if I were to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can say that it's kind of 6ish percent P's to actually get to this buffer, which we kind of need to understand if we're going to do the $sign attack. Right here, I have fclose is equal to this value. This is actually the memory address of the GOT table for fclose. I don't really want to confuse anyone with GOT or PLT, but just think of it when you run a binary, the program doesn't really necessarily know where the function is. So it's kind of just going to reference a specific spot in memory to look up this address every time. And this is what GOT does not stand for Game of Thrones. GOT stands for Global Offset Table. And PLT stands for position lookup table. So at this memory address is where the fclose is going to be located. And then here I have main saying, this is actually the beginning of the main function. I did a little top and bottom because I wanted to split this up into HNs, which HN is just going to say short. So it'd be like these 2 bytes and then these 2 bytes instead of trying to write this whole value all at once, which if we did %Cs could take a really long time to write 8 million hex, which is going to be. I got a quick question. How long did it take me to script this from scratch? I think this maybe took me 30 minutes. Once you like know what's going on, it's kind of easy just to go from step to step. So my kind of thought was, hey, the binary currently only runs once, but we're going to need a way to leak a memory address to understand where certain functions are, such as system. So we need a way to leak this and then also make sure the binary runs multiple times. So what I did here is what this entire line right here is doing is it's overwriting this lookup value for fclose with the address of main. So every time fclose gets ran, it's actually just going to call main again. And if we look back at format.c, we can see that fclose is only called right here at the end of flag. So we can control saying, once we're done with everything, just jump straight back to right here, and then we'll do it all again. So I read it back in, and this is kind of just saying the percent, I guess, this is kind of just doing my leak, which I found from more stack analysis. And we're going to have the %23 because that's actually where on the stack we want to leak the memory address. This is just going to be in this case, it's just the return to libc main, which is kind of what's ran automatically when you run a binary. Don't need to worry about that too much. Now we get the libc base. We can find an important function called system. And what system does is it lets you run system commands from the actual C binary. So if we kind of just use the same attack again and overwrite or not really fclose this time, but this time we're going to overwrite printf because we can control what we send into printf. I'll come back to your question about ASLR in a little bit. After printf, we're going to overwrite printf this time because if we remember back to the format again, it's right here, we actually control what we send to printf. So if we were to just send in bin sh or whatever command we want, we can easily get a shell. So that's what this segment is doing, then it's just overwriting the second printf so it can run system. So if we were to kind of think of it logically and kind of go through the runtime of it, we go through the program, read in our first string. Once we get to the first printf, I'll come back to your question about the scripts one in a little bit. I'm almost done with this. We do the first printf, which will overwrite the fclose, and we enter this admin code. We hit the fclose, we jump back to main. We come in again, we send in the second one, which overwrites printf, but that doesn't happen until we at least hit this printf, and it needs to write. So we need to go through one more time, which fclose is still overwritten. So we'll jump in here, and then the next read we can send in like bin sh or id. So if we were to run this, I'm going to need someone just asked, why would you program like this? In what sense? In the crappy programming style or as in hacky style? I don't know what you're thinking. So if I were just running one command back to the program at hand, we'll see it runs ID and then just dies. So instead we can just run bin sh, and now we have a live shell. We can run as many commands as we want. So I had a question about, would you be able to exploit this remotely with ASLR? So for those of you who don't know what ASLR, it's I don't actually know what it stands for off the top of my head right now, but that's what it is. So what that does is it makes sure that fclose won't be at this address every time. So the thing with ASLR is that these last 3 nibbles will always be the same, but all this stuff in the front will change. But if you can guess this front part once, you can guess it for every address I have statically assigned, because ASLR is enabled for the system part, and that's why I have to leak it, because it's not always going to be at the same spot. But if the program itself had ASLR, you just have to do a brute force of 2 bytes, which is 65,000, so 1 in 65,000 tries. Or I guess there could be another byte or so, but either way. I had a question about, out of the websites you talked about, which one is best for showing me how to script like this? To get to this level of scripting, you're probably going to have to spend some time actually doing it. Where I started out was pwnable.kr. It's a Korean site. It has a really cool video about how memory corruption is used in Super Mario World to just jump straight to the credits. If we log in, because it won't show you the challenges without. We can see there's a bunch of different challenges with some crazy looking graphics. So like just start right here with file descriptor. If you go through and you like can't get any of these, there's write-ups for most of them online, even probably some of these, which I haven't even done. But what this is pretty much just, these are just here for you to learn. So if you get stuck, that's all right. Just look up, get a nudge. These will tell you how to get in. So all you have to do is SSH to this address with the password guessed. And then, oh, hey, it even tells you, like, here's a tutorial link to follow along and how to do it. That's a good one. Maybe when you're more advanced, you can go pwnable.xyz. They have a bunch of challenges. These ones are not intro friendly, as in you'll very rarely get source code. You have to reverse it from just the binary itself, so such as this file, which in that case you'd have to use something like IDA or Ghidra, or you'll just get lucky and be able to cat the flag in one of the challenges. I don't know if that's fixed or not. Let's see what else. There's, if you want to like hate yourself in the morning, you go pwnable.tw. Now this one's pretty advanced. I think I even only have up to like right here or something. But these do not hold back, I guess. They'll just jump straight into heap challenges, which that one's a heap. That one's a heap. That's just a CVE. So like someone actually found this exploit in the wild and was able to make a challenge that's similar to it, or something that you would have found if you were to have known about it. I guess I'll try and answer the program. Why would you program it like this? To be honest, or I guess in a sense, there's gonna be a lot of crappy programmers out there. This is just an example of an exploit. Let's say they maybe had maybe they instead had this at 40, and then I was able to read in 50 characters. Then I'd still be able to overwrite the admin code. I might be able to overwrite more stack address to jump around even more, which then I could still control printf. So it's not really a sense of someone's always going to let you find an easy vulnerability like this. You might have to work for it. Oh, I'm going to read only. But there's also, like, I know I've done it. I've done a for loop. I may have been off by 1. That may be all it takes to actually get execution on a system. You may incorrectly remove data that should be zeroed out or something. You may use a memory address, or may use a variable out of scope. So let's say I had admin code written up here and I try to use it somewhere else. I don't know. So it kind of just depends. Programming's not you're only allowed to do it this one way. Lots of people write different ways and they've all learned from different people. So it's kind of, there's always going to be crappy code out there. Anything else? That's kind of all I had going.
Okay, well, seeing no other questions pop in on any channels, thank you, Logan, for your presentation and for showing us all that. you guys have any questions that come up later, or if you're trying to do challenges, please feel free to reach out. We will be happy to help you. Quick reminder to fill out attendance at attendance.offsec.club if you haven't. Also, CPTC tryouts again, and tonight. Be sure to get your reports in. I have been informed that out of the 6 slots that are open, only 5 reports have been submitted. So, just if you're trying to get for that, you have a couple hours to get that all in. But until then, we will see everyone next week. Thanks for dropping by.